1T25. Where you been all my life? Music me! College me! National battle. College! Our first Final Four, how it all shook out. And week 18. New year, same amazing you. Let's go around the horn. Oh, that's the music. Summer roll. Challenge. I got big picture, I got little pictures. Let's start big picture. Notre Dame, the way they handled Georgia. This is all levels of the game. Spotlight, the 11 on, 11 off play. I love this. Because the center never touched the ball, you can do that. Totally crossed up the dogs. Big play. So Notre Dame looking stout in that Sugar Bowl win. Ohio State looking like a dominant force this month, crushing Oregon. Texas surviving Arizona State in the one thriller we had this bowl. And Penn State rolling Boise State. Don't need to say any more. Kevin Clark, around the horn to you. Which team has impressed you most? Who is the favorite now?
Give me the Ohio State Buckeyes. They've allowed less than 4 yards per play against two really good teams. They've had the hardest path thus far. And against two top 10 nationally defenses, they're averaging over 8 yards per play and combined for over 80 points. This is a team that is understanding that in this era of football, you need to peak now, not in October, not in November. Jeremiah Smith is the best freshman we've seen in a long time, maybe since Adrian Peterson. There's a special team doing special things. I like them here.
All right. And if I could just have a little peek, are they your favorite now, since they're peaking now?
I can't say anybody else. I think Texas will play them close, but I like the Buckeyes.
Bill Barnwell.
I can't make the case and then do whiplash.
Make a case for me. Who's impressed Barnwell the most?
I've been most impressed by Penn State because they're doing the thing we've been begging them to do all season. Beat a ranked team comfortably. Their signature win all year was what? Illinois, USC, but they get to the playoff. They beat SMU, go up 28-0, go up 14-0 in the first half against Boise State. Boise State did get a little bit of a comeback, but Penn State with a 75-yard drive to put the game away. They hold Ashton Jeanty to 3.5 yards per carry after he's been averaging more than 7 cards per carry during the regular season. I mean, this was a thorough performance on both sides of the football, and they did it without Abdul Carter for a chunk of that game against Boise State. So I am impressed by Penn State.
Are they your favorites, Bill Barnwell?
They are not my favorite. They're better than I thought they were going to be.
Okay,
I'm
not muting. Just asking. We'll get back to that. Courtney Cronin, around the horn to you. Who's impressed you most?
So who's impressed me the most is different than the team that I think is the most dominant. Notre Dame has impressed me the most. I saw them up close in the college football playoff first round when they beat Indiana. And that defense, holding the highest powered offense in the college football playoff to that performance, showed me that they could do it against Georgia, and they did. The whiplash factor, too. 17 points in 54 seconds. What Marcus Freeman's done with this team since that Northern Illinois loss, like they're a completely different group. 12 straight wins, 9 of those wins coming by 10 or more points. And that defense just absolutely suffocating whatever Georgia tried to throw at them. And that was a listless performance from a team that had to make a quarterback change. But I'm just impressed by what we've seen from a team that we weren't really sure about what the identity was going to be after that early season loss, whether they were even going to make the college football playoff in the first place. But most dominant team is Ohio State. When they're playing their A game, that's the 2014 Ohio State Buckeyes that won a national championship. Whether it's Jeremiah Smith saying, hey, don't play man coverage against me because I'm going to put up 187 yards and score 2 touchdowns. Will Howard, after his best performance that he put up against Tennessee, does that against Oregon? Like, are you kidding me? Nobody can stop Ohio State right now, so that's why I believe they are the most dominant.
Your favorite, it sounds like. And Kevin Blackistone, around the horn to you. Start with most impressive in the playoffs so far.
Well, the most impressive team is the team that throttled #1 undefeated Oregon Ducks, and that would be Ohio State. Up 34-0 before you could even get your second bowl of chili on New Year's Day. I mean, they were just incredibly dominant. Everybody's talking about Jeremiah Smith. What about the run game with Henderson and Judkins. Who do you want to hand it to? I mean, both of those guys are going to be playing in the NFL and probably as stars. Incredible. And that defense, that veteran defense with all those seniors out there were just all over the place. So there's no question. And who is most impressive? Again, it's Ohio State, because everybody on this program would have Ryan Day fired if he loses another game.
Yes.
He played with that pressure sitting on his shoulders and just went like this. And not only that, avenged one of their big losses this year, which was to Oregon. So no question, it's Ohio State on both
Brushing
ends
off
of
the shoulders. I'm surprised you can do that so easily. That is a thick sweater you're working with. Love it today.
Come on, baby.
Bill Barnwell, give us now the team that you think is the favorite.
I believe it's Texas, because we've seen injuries elsewhere. I trust them to game plan better on a short week against Ohio State. I think Texas is the most complete team here.
After the way that the job they had to get past Arizona State, Texas, Kevin Clark, how do you stand with that argument?
Yeah, I think Texas is really talented. They'll play Ohio State close. I believe the Ohio State-Texas game is a national championship, but I like the Buckeyes.
No, but it's not that. Why did we say this? Why can't we just allow our two semifinals games to be the semifinals games, and then we'll get there? Everybody is just working their way through this playoff format and trying to. Let's talk about that bigger picture, because in this format, all four bye teams lost. We know that. All 5 conference champions lost. We know that. Every betting favorite won, so were there any surprises? I don't know. An average margin in the games was 17 points. So while there was a civil war of predetermined complaints and incontrovertible yelps from people of
Team format. Go back to 1990, the first year the NFL expanded to a 12-team playoff. 7 of the first 9 games decided by double digits. That year ended with Bills-Giants, a classic in the Super Bowl. No one was complaining, and the following year, the 4 wildcard games involving those new teams were all one-score games. Let's just give it a little time to breathe before we're making changes with this
Kevin
format.
Clark.
Billy, you asked a question. Can we be patient? The answer resoundingly is no. I think what you do here is, so first of all, everybody's talking about the bye teams losing. I think that's a little bit dishonest, because you have Boise State and Arizona State being included in that. They obviously got the bye because of this kind of weird, everything is fine. You still are able to reward the number 1, number 2 seeds by giving them lesser teams. Maybe you add in some more automatic qualifiers, make it more of a national sport as far as group of 5 type teams, but I would expand it. No buys, 1 through 16, rank them up, play ball.
Kevin Blackistone. On this format, did it work despite the blowouts, or are you tweaking?
Well, clearly it did not work because of the blowouts. But here's the thing: I'm kind of with Bill. I mean, be patient. This is the first year we've gotten this far. This is what everybody wanted. Let's figure it out. The one tweak I would have, and remember, I was harping on this when the first rankings started to come out, is I wanted to see what the matchups were going to be. The matchups were clearly not fair when you talk about how good one team was and how poor another team was. So let's get rid of the buys for the conference champions. Let's just go by the rankings that come out, and let's set it up and seed it that way. I think that would solve some of your problems.
Cronin?
I'm a big fan of the idea of reseeding, because at no point in the college football playoff rankings that came out weekly was Boise State ever 3 and Arizona State ever 4. The whole idea that conference champions get that first round bye, I think, is something they need to look at. And of course, first 2 rounds need to be played on college campuses. I was at one of those games. The environment was electric. The team that gets to host deserves to have that opportunity. I will say, though, all 4 teams can win a national championship that are remaining. This is the SEC's worst nightmare, their only representation in here being Texas. I love the way that this thing worked out, though, in the first year of the 12-team format. It showed you that a level playing field with the unintended consequence of the transfer portal is what we have here, because usually these SEC teams were able to hoard talent for so long, where you had the rosters that are like 30 to 40 deep to go win a national championship because your depth is important. They had all those 5 stars. Now those 5 stars that were in the second and third string are playing for the other programs that are now represented here. I think we have a nice mix, whether it's an independent, 2 Big Ten teams, and then, of course, with Texas being the sole SEC representation, any of these teams can win a national championship. That is a good thing to have.
There is a knee jerk, and maybe it's more knee, maybe it's more jerk, who knows? Where it's just my conference is better than your conference because of what happened in these bowl games and yada, yada, yada. Kevin, how do you see it?
I don't think you can look at bowl games to glean anything.
Yeah.
I think you have to go with the playoff and the way that's gone. I think yesterday's result, Notre Dame over Georgia, even with the backup quarterback, says something. But I think we need, as Bill would say, be patient for a couple of years before we start seeing the Big Ten.
Maybe that is not our strong suit. I will say this though: how we talk about it. When blowouts happen, games happen. If you looked at the last five of the last 6 championship games, they were blowouts. It doesn't mean one team was outclassed. The whole format is broken. Blowouts happen. Losses happen. Wins happen. We'll see what happens in buy or sell.
Welcome back to Around the Horn, coming to you from the Seaport. Brought to you by Patron. Perfection starts with Patron.
Vikings at Lions Sunday night, the game of the week 18. It's for NFC North and NFC 1 seed and home field that the loser will have to go on the road in the playoffs despite 14 wins is crazy talk, but it's reality. Courtney Cronin, Around the Horn to you. Who wins and how?
It's nice having one NFC North game have actual relevance in Week 18. The Minnesota Vikings win this game because you've got 2 high-powered offenses. The difference here is on defense. We saw what happened when Detroit goes into San Francisco, allows 34 points, nearly 8 yards per play. They're decimated on that side of the ball. On the other side, Minnesota is healthy at the right time. What happened in that first matchup in Week 7? Jared Goff was attacking the middle of the field. Jonathan Grenard was a game wrecker then. They didn't have Blake Cashman in Week 7. That will be the difference.
And you've got the Lions losing at home with one on the line. Kevin Blackistone, Around the Horn to you. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely not. I see the home team winning, which would be the 5th time that they've beaten the Vikings in a row. And ever since Hutchinson went down, everybody's been saying, "Oh, this is the problem with Detroit. They're going to start losing." Well, guess what? The best offense in the league that they have has continued to crank it up. They've continued to control the ball, score points, and they're going to win this game as well.
Kevin Clark, Around the Horn to you. Talk to me about Lions Vikings.
How could the committee put a 14-win team? Oh, no, sorry. It's going to be the Vikings who win this one. And the reason is the Lions, for the special season they're having, are just too injured. According to my sources, and by sources I mean I saw Mina Kimes in the hallway, since Aiden Hutchinson went out, they are number 1 in Detroit in blitz rate, but only 31st in pressure rate when blitzing. That's just not good enough. They're giving up explosives. I love the season Detroit's having. Just too injured. Give me the
All right, great information. But then again, I'll give Mina Kimes the point when she's on the show next week. But you've got Minnesota. All right, Bill Barnwell, Around the Horn to you. You got the Vikings, the Lions, and how's this game won?
I've got the Detroit Lions because the one thing, Kevin Clark, that is not injured for this Detroit team is the offensive line, and they can hold up against that Vikings blitz. Vikings have held opposing teams to a 76 passer rating when they blitzed this year. Jared Goff was at 129 when they played versus the blitz earlier this season, a 116 passer rating against the Vikings blitz last season. Detroit does a great job of blocking up. Their receivers are all good blockers. They're healthy. To me, they are the strength of this team. Lions take it.
All right, that's a split panel. We'll move on. Buy or sell two. Saquon Barkley sitting this weekend, as we all know, with the all-time rushing record on the line. Nick Sirianni made the call, said he's got to do what's best for the team. The other starters are resting as well. Barkley said it's coach's decision. He'd go with whatever coach said. So Eric Dickerson's 40-year-old record holds. Kevin Clark, where do you stand? Rest or record?
Give me the record, Tony Reali. Against the Giants earlier this year, Saquon Barkley had 146 yards before contact. You could go out there and just have him do some cardio, and he would accidentally break the record without a lot of damage to his body. I understand that if you want to be healthy for the playoffs, you have to put everybody out there if you're putting Saquon out there. I understand that, but I also understand this is history. This would be really cool. It would really make the Giants look really bad. So yes, I would have gone that.
Okay, I get that part of it. I'm surprised to hear this. Bill Barnwell, rest or record?
I agree with Kevin. It is record. There's going to be a lot of guys who run for 2,000 yards with the 17th and probably 18th game coming up, but there's only going to be one guy who's replaces Eric Dickerson with that rushing record. To do that at home against the Giants, the team that dumped you,
How?
that would be like inflicting psychic pain on the Giants fan base. They've already had to deal with the miracle of the New Meadowlands. This could be the you stink at the link for the Eagles.
Well, yes, but the Giants already have all that embarrassment and pain. Courtney Cronin, I'm shocked that two say go for the record and not sit this. Courtney Cronin, around the horn to you.
Yeah, the Giants don't need to look any worse. They just lost the number 1 overall pick last week because they won that game.
You can't look worse.
I live in reality, and reality told me that after he had that 23-yard run to hit 2,000, and the Nick Sirianni takes him out of the game when he had extra time to get his cardio, get his extra yards, work towards the 101 yards he needs to break the record, that they wouldn't let him do it then. They're not going to let him do it now. I'm okay with it. They have the NFC East title. They have the number 2 seed. It is not worth getting any risk of an injury with him, the offensive line that would have to play in front of him for him to hit 100.
And KB, how about you?
Yeah, it's not rest or record. It's win or weck it. Right?
Yeah.
This is all about winning the game. And you know, in sports, we champion the athlete who gives for his team and not just takes for him or herself. Here's a case where Saquon Barkley is saying, you know what, I'm good with this. I'm here to win it for my teammates. So let's champion that.
Very interesting second syllable emphasis on Saquon Barkley there. Buy or sell 3 MVP. This is our last chance before pencils down. Josh Allen says starting is very important to him. He will start versus New England. How much he plays after that remains to be seen. Saquon Barkley sitting, as we just discussed. Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson have big games and will play out and add to their sensational seasons. So Bill Barnwell, could the MVP be decided in a week with some guys playing, some guys not?
Absolutely it can, because we think Josh Allen's not going to be playing very much at all on Sunday, but Lamar Jackson is playing with the chance to set the single season passer rating record as a 20-point favorite on national television on Saturday against the Cleveland Browns. That is the opportunity to stake your ultimate MVP case.
Devin Clark?
Yeah, like with the last topic, the Browns don't need any help being embarrassed. They're going to be able to do it themselves. But no, Lamar Jackson's going to be able to go off in an island game. I think if he puts up 4 or 5 touchdowns, he refocuses the conversation. The betting odds heavily favor Josh Allen. That could change.
Kevin Blackistone?
And Darnold will be playing, going up against a team that we just talked about. And the fact of the matter is that his numbers are comparable in a way to what Lamar Jackson has done. I think it's just between those two and who has done more with
Sam
less.
Darnold,
right?
the 6th favorite, is Kevin Blackistone's pick here, and a win to get the number 1 seed and home field
Absolutely.
throughout and win a division
14 wins with that team?
would be your vote. Courtney Cronin, around the horn to you.
Lamar sat out last year in Week 18 and still won, but obviously the AFC North is on the line. He's playing, and he's probably going to be putting up some big numbers on a listless Browns team. So I do think that while it may be decided, while we all may think that there's Lamar fatigue, despite how good his numbers are this year, that going into this game, it's Josh Allen's to hold on to and not to lose. I think that Lamar in that national window tomorrow afternoon could maybe
Penalized is not the right word, but it's almost like Josh Allen, having such a great year and your team clinching so early and not having to play is now a mark against him. Kevin Clark. Bill Barnwell, this is not a mark against you, but you'll get a front row seat to a Courtney Cronin, Kevin Blackistone showdown in 2 minutes. Courtney Cronin, Kevin Blackistone. This is our first show of the year, so this is for pole position of the 2025 Tournament of Champions. Let's go. The latest from Jimmy Butler after Miami's loss last night.
I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball. And wherever that may be, we'll find out here pretty soon.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
This is about joy. This is about a month-long will they, won't they, which we heard him ask maybe once or twice before. We certainly heard Pat Riley say we won't. KB, where are we today?
Well, this is another showdown. And, it's another deal where Jimmy Butler has put himself in a situation, or decided to put himself in a situation where he's trying to get out of a deal that he signed. We've seen this before from Jimmy Butler, and I hate it. He's 35 years old. He should be a leader of this team. They've got a winning record. They would be in the playoffs if everything stopped today. Why don't you just work for this team? Why don't you work for Eric Spoelstra, one of the greatest coaches, obviously Pat Riley, a Hall of Famer? Come on. This is not a good look.
We are so close to Jimmy Butler grabbing the Heat mascot and a bunch of third-string players and going ham in a practice the way that he did to force his way out of Minnesota that I'm surprised it honestly hasn't happened to this point. We've seen him. We are so past due at this point. We've seen him lead this team to multiple conference finals, and Pat Riley fail him, frankly, by not getting him another superstar running mate. I am not surprised we are at this point. All the rumors, surprisingly, have been true.
If you were to win, Kevin Blackistone, what would your FaceTime be?
Oh, my failed eggnog after 1 year of aging.
That sounds disgusting. And Courtney Cronin, how about you?
If I win, I'm talking about Curtis Rourke.
Let's do that.
Yeah, toughest
That's
person
not
I think I've ever
aged like
heard
terrible eggnog milk. Go ahead.
No, this one certainly will not age. It was reported initially by NFL Network that Curtis Rourke, the quarterback who he became the fourth player in IU football history to throw for 3,000 yards in a season, set the single-season passing touchdown, completion percentage record, did all of that in Indiana's 11-win season with a partially torn ACL. He tore it before the season, apparently didn't tell trainers about it. I don't know if that's a great thing. Hopefully you don't do that at the NFL level, but just an incredible show of resilience and tough play. Hats off to him. I hope you get healthy.
Not telling people that an ACL is a bad decision. Trying to drink year-old eggnog is a worse decision, Blackistone.